Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Greetings, Algo Artisans. Cowboy here. It is Wednesday, April 22nd, 8:33 a.m. Excuse me, and we are taking a look at Bitcoin. And a lot of people are asking themselves, is the Bitcoin bull market or the bear market over? Is the bull market starting back up again? We're going to talk about that today. And I've got a pretty definite answer, at least as far as the way I see it, what the charts say, and technically, fundamentally, how this all works. We're going to get into that, but first, do us a favor. 60% of you who watch this are not subscribed. Like, subscribe, helps us out a lot. Secondly, take a look in the description. There is a free algo. It's a very short video. It shows you how I build a simple algorithm and how I turn it into code by using Grok. And then I show you how I use that to build, I show you how, like, the tools that the professionals use to build agentic AI trading bots. It's actually really easy to do. And yes, you have to make sure you optimize the code before you actually have a trade for you, but it's all there for you in the video. Link in the description, it's free. So that said, let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. All right. Now, people are excited because Bitcoin is approaching 80K. And it's a move that I've called. And Bitcoin's been actually going up really steadily since like the end of March, the beginning of April, right? April 2nd. It's been going not straight, but up and to the right from 65 to 78,000. And it is encountering a little bit of resistance right here, but there's something we have to understand about Bitcoin, right? So if you're new to Bitcoin, you might not know about the halving cycle. And every 4 years, Bitcoin, it goes through something called the halving. And I'm not going to get into the technical aspect of Bitcoin because if you don't know it by now, it's kind of a lot to explain. And basically, it'll just confuse you probably. But long story short, the supply of Bitcoin entering the market, right? The rate at which it enters the market gets cut in half. Okay. That makes it really simple. It's a supply issue. And when supply goes down, price goes up. And every 4 years this happens. So if I go out to a weekly chart and I were to go back, you will see, in fact, I'll just go back. I'll put on a different version of Bitcoin. I'll look at the index that goes back, all the way to basically the beginning. I'm going to change this to a different kind of chart. And you'll see that every 4 years, there's a halving event. I'm going to take the pi cycle off. Now the pi cycle indicator didn't hit this year, which is a first. So things do change, but that's just, those are just EMA crosses. So I'll put on the Bitcoin halving events, right? And you will see that every 4 years there's a halving, and there have been four, forgive me. The fourth was just in 2024. And after the halving, you see a big jump in the price. Now, this chart is distorted, but you can see that after the first halving, the price went from really the bottom was at about $1.90 and went all the way up to $1,200. Great profit if you got in there. And then the next bottom was at 150, and then you had the halving, and it went up to 21,000 or 20,000, really 19,500. Your next bottom was at about 3,000, and it went all the way up to 60,000, really 70, so 69,000. Your next bottom was at 15,000, and it went up to, so far, the most recent high at 126,000 or so. Mick, thanks for joining us, bud. Always appreciate having you on YouTube as well. It helps us out. So that said, the halving is a key event, and the price tends to go up running up to the halving, and it tends to go up after the halving until the next cycle top. And right now, just judging by the halving cycle, it looks to me like we're still going to be seeing, the end of the bull market rather than the beginning of the next bull market. So the halving cycle alone tells us that no, the bear market is probably just more beginning rather than ending, right? Now, you could have a possible scenario like this in 2021 where you had this top And then price went down like 50-60%, right? So it topped out at I'm going to move back to a regular chart here, and give me a second. So it topped out at what, 66,000, went all the way down to 28,000. So more like, I think it was like a 60% drop. And then it came back up and made a second high at 69,000. So that can happen, right? And how big was that drop? It's kind of the caveat. This is like where, okay, maybe it'll go back up to the top. Maybe it can happen, right? So that's like a 57% drop. Well, how far has it fallen so far? And by the way, let's mark how long it took for it to make that drop. It was really 35 days, and then it made another top 210 days later, right? So let's see how long it's taken right now to make the local bottom. It's been 119 days as opposed to 35. And then 210 days later is kind of where we are right now. We're at 196 days after that top. So the timeline on this double top, we're not really in that. It's taken twice as long, if in fact that's what we're going to happen. Now it could, and you start to get into, okay, we can't really look at that as either. It's certainly not a positive indicator. It might not be an indicator of anything at all. But at this point, really, I have some sort of metrics to look at where basically we're the probability of price bottoming out, we're here at 59,000 based on just everything that's always happened with Bitcoin is not very high. Now it's possible. It could be that 59,000 was the bottom and it just goes up from here. There's been a lot of like YouTube videos. Oh, has Bitcoin bottomed out? Is the bear market over? Hence the title of my video. I'm going to say like no, but I mean, on the balance of probabilities, the answer is no. Like it could be wrong. And maybe it's over. Maybe it goes up from here, but I wouldn't bet on it. What I would bet on is probably a stab up and then a move down. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Every trader's been wrong, like regularly. Where traders are wrong like 20-30% of the time. But most likely, look, here's what's always happened. After the top, you get about an 80 to 90% drop. So let's just say 85% to keep it kind of, consistent. And an 80% drop is going to take us down to like $25,000. I know people don't want to see that, but that's an 80% drop. And every peak, every cycle peak has dropped about that much. The prior peak dropped 77%. The peak before that dropped 85%. The peak before that dropped 87%. I mean, this is how the peaks always go. And this peak has only dropped, 50%. So, 80% roughly is going to take us down to under 30,000. If Bitcoin behaves as it always has, that's what we're going to see. There's always the chance that it's not going to behave that way, right? But in trading, this time it's going to be different tend to be famous last words. Like it's almost always going to be the same. Now, here's the thing about Bitcoin and why this time might be different. I would say only because, let me fix this. Only because Bitcoin's young. Like we don't, 4 halvings is not a very big sample set. Like if you're going to back test something, you need to back test it 200 times. So Bitcoin being as new as it is, using past data is better than not using it, right? Basing your thesis on prior data, you have to at least use the data. Now, there might be some fundamental reason that I'm not aware of. Maybe it's like, oh, the institutions are, have it, or whatever the case may be, right? Where this just goes up and the bottom was at 60,000, right? But I just don't think that's going to happen until the halving, So we'll see. I could be wrong, but that's Bitcoin. That's what I think. And that's what a lot of people think. And some of the best traders out there agree. But everybody's going to have their own theory. And there's always the chance that we're entering some new phase where there's a new paradigm and Bitcoin doesn't behave like it used to behave, right? So, but I every time I've said this time is different, like I'd say 80-90% of the time I've said that, I've been wrong, right? But this particular cycle did have a difference. It did make an all-time high prior to the halving. So if I put the halvings back on here, and this was a prediction that somebody made, and I was like, I didn't give it any love, and I was wrong. So, and that was, that's fine. I don't care. I wasn't that upset about being wrong, but I was just like, nah, I don't have any love. I'm not into that prediction, and I was wrong. But yeah, Bitcoin tends not to make an all-time high prior to the halving, and it did this cycle, and it probably had to do with institutions, and it probably had to do with institutional manipulation, to be honest. But whatever the case may be, manipulation or not, that did happen, and it had not happened before. This time was different in that sense. This double top, that had never happened before, but guess what? There were only 2 halvings before that. So there's always room for, this is a new asset and it's undergoing changes at a key time. And so we can't rely too heavily on the past. But if we were to just take a look at the past for 4 halvings, that's what happened. I'm going to stick with that. Good. What else we got? Well, we're actually 15 minutes in, or 11 minutes in. Started a little bit late this morning. So, we're going to leave it at that. If you watched yesterday's show, it was a full report. We actually stayed on YouTube for the full hour. So you got to see, like me, via the Gorilla Talk. We basically did what we do in the live lab for our private clients. We did it the whole time. So I would watch that. If you want to know what it's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the private live lab members for the full hour, the only thing you're not seeing is the comments in there, the traders that are in there doing their thing, people asking questions, and whoever, we didn't get a lot of questions, but I know, Miko, you were in there talking. So if you guys want to see what a full live lab is like, just watch yesterday's live show. Also, like and subscribe, get the free algo. It's a link in the description, and it's pretty good. It shows you the nuts and bolts of doing it, and it's really not that hard to do. These algos are the centerpiece of your agentic trading bots. If you want to get to the point where you want to build an agentic trading bot, an agentic AI trading bot, if you want to do that, you gotta go through the process of learning how to trade. I have not met one single person who went on AI not knowing anything about trading, created a trading bot, and are profitable now. I don't know one of them. There's probably one out there, but the probability is, to be successful in trading, you have to understand trading holistically. Just creating I could give you my algorithm and you will fail. I could give you my algorithm that I have it programmed to trade automatically. I don't usually do that, but it can. And I could give that to you and you'll fail because you don't understand the entire game. 99% of trading is not trading. 99% of trading is other stuff. So come on over, check it out, algofactory.tech. Thanks for watching. We will see you tomorrow, Thursday, 8:30 a.m. EST sharp, where we will take a look at what's going on. If you have requests, put them in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Thanks for watching.
Join us or die.
Just kidding.